Into the Rift we go, finally, as we get to see these two teams in action. A very important game for these two so early on into the split, and certainly could be the decider as to if one of these teams do or do not make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, and something also to touch on that we just see right now as we see the keystones come up is Gunkrab decided to go for the press the attack, which is indicating he wants to play an on-hit Varus. He wants to play the DPS Varus. He doesn't want to play this poke Varus, because when you look at Dio's comp, they're all diving into you. You will not have time to poke. You will not do damage if you build poke against such a tanky team. And it's really nice to see the adaptation coming out of Gunkrab to do like, I need to get a Bulk, I need to get a Rage Blade, I need to do as much front-to-back damage as I can, because that's how team fights will play.
Which, now that you mention, pairs quite nicely with the Azir as well, because, you know, there's certainly a few different ways and brands you can look to try and play this champion, right? You're either the guy that goes in on the flank, going for that huge, crazy montage scoop, or in many cases, you're just allowing the damage to come in towards you, and if somebody overextends, then you hit the Emperor's Divide, right? And I feel like that might be what we're getting out of Parade of this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the rest of Mammoth, besides Predator and Gunkrab, should really throw their bodies to keep their carries alive, because if their carries are alive, they can individually carry these team fights, because there's just so low range coming out of Dials, and they can't really deal with the champions when they take off. I think the DPS will be way too much to deal with, and it's just not really so much, you know, the Aatrox or Lee Sin on all the show. It's just all about keeping their carries alive and making sure they're able to do damage.
Well, speaking of somebody that can look to try and keep their carries alive is Gudo, right, on the Lee Sin. His most played champion by a country mile. 18 games of Lee Sin, his second being Wukong at only 9. Absolutely loves the champion, and has certainly shown that he's got some fancy feet when it matters the most over the years when we've had multiple different Korean Lee Sin players showcase their brilliance. We'll get to see if he can have that individual performance once again here in the first game. But I think we're going to be poking into bot lane a fair bit. That was the major point for me, right? The sort of the ability for Voice and Gunkrab to hold their own, because I think if Ketsui gets given too much space, maybe he just you know, plants the seeds in laning phase. Yeah,
we'll have to see how Gunkrab navigates this game, because we saw him fall down a lot in his first week against Ground Zero, and now he's playing another champ which isn't very good at surviving dive. He's not very good at self-peel. He needs a lot of help from his team. Is he going to be able to, you know, play his team fights well enough to do damage without falling down consistently?
There's a little invitation here for Mochi to poke his head into the jungle, and I'm curious to see how he keeps pace here with not only the tracking, but the 1v1. Obviously, we know that Skarner is quite keen for a bit of a punch on, but into Lee Sin, I would, generally speaking, say is the king of those 1v1s. Whether or not he's going to have a good time there, or if we are just going to be quite content just playing for our laners and avoiding any kind of shenanigans of invading or contesting things like the Scuttler.
Yeah, I think you don't really see it anymore because of like how the game is adapted over time. I remember back in the day you would see a lot of jungle 1v1s where people would go to crabs and fight 1v1, but now like tracking, like pathing early wards, it's very easy to know where junglers are, and if you want to avoid 1v1s, it's extremely easy to just like go on the other side of the map, trade crabs if you really have to, or just abuse priority. It's very, very seldom that you see 1v1s happen in the jungle role anymore.
Yeah, a bit of a sadness, isn't it? And I suppose the big reason why you don't see as commonly the Assassin 1v1 champions as much as you may like. But either way, we are going to see Mochi deploy onto this one and say, well, I'll get the Scuttler, whilst Gudo says, I just want to go for the full clear. I want as much gold and individual power as possible, which I think does make sense. Quick check-in with some of the items then. I suppose whilst we have a bit of a lull moment. Reneko actually going to opt for a quick rush back to base to pick up the coal.
Yeah, this is just like the classic cheater recall. When you have a stronger matchup, it's very easy to crash like the third wave, base, get a cull or get another longsword if you want, and just come back to lane with that extra bit of power. And play to try to deny the bounce back from the wave as we see here. If he's able to in the 1v1, you know, deny the crash because he's playing the stronger matchup, it's really, really good for his matchup where Mayfan has to blow TP, but he keeps his advantage.
Let's see if they can make any matters worse for this one then, because they can find themselves a little invitation to try and get a bit of an advantage. Top lane should just be a bit of sustain really from Gregis drinking the barrels and the Aatrox just life leeching away. Might just see limited moments of true fighting action, but Guapi, true to his performance last week, says, I'm not even level 6 and I'm ready to leave lane. I want to go for that grand entrance. I'm just going to rock up and say hello to Gudo and say, I got this one level advantage. It's soon to become a 3v2. You've got the health disadvantage. You just don't win this one. So with Mochi coming across, he chucks a bolt onto Gudo's head and says, this wave is crashing. It may not be the biggest, and that's why Aatrox is trying to clear it up. But in with the flash body slam, in with the first blood, and just like that, Skarner gets 2.
Easy as that, Skimmy. This is the problem with playing with the bounce waves. Is you put yourself in a susceptible position because you're trading so much. You can get very low and end up getting dived, so it's really nice roam coming out of Guapi. If we paid attention to Praetor's resources as well, he was so he didn't really have access to the TP to counter that dive until he recalled. So Direwolves pull the trigger, go for the dive instantly, and pray that the stool caught lacking in the base.
It's a really good moment for them to try and strike and find their moment of, yeah, you aren't able to respond to this play, so you will just simply go down for it. Guapi starts off initially and just walks in and says, yeah, this is happening.
Yeah, it's pretty much as easy as this. When they find the chunk onto Gudo, it's just very easy to find like the double kill. They have so much AoE coming out of both Galio and Gragas. It's just a very, very easy kill. This is like how the most Galio matchups work in the early game is he will find priority, and as the mage counterpart, use your TP to counteract his dive or side lane play while trying to, you know, absorb as much CS as possible. Because you never want to follow Galio roams as the mage. Like, you don't have the same combat power in the early game as he does, and you don't want to, you know, slow down your scaling at any point, because if Galio gets ahead while you're behind, it's extremely hard to play.
Yeah, at that point, right, the map is just not safe anymore. Anywhere you go, there's just somebody there to answer back and force a numbers disadvantage. And I wonder, much like we talk about Chirp having a unique pick every single game, the same could be said then for Guapi, right? Starts off with a Talia, goes into the Pantheon, now on the Galio. Are we just going to get the encyclopedia of other global champions, right? Are we going to see, like, next week, just that rise into Twisted Fate, perhaps, as we look at the bot lane? Shinky goes in, a little bit of damage onto Voice, pops the Ignite, both supports are bleeding, and both AD carries are concerned. Should we go for it, or should we not? Level 6 is just across the horizon, and members are rotating towards the bot lane to see if anything else is to happen. This makes it a little bit awkward towards that Dragon with, you know, who actually goes for the reset.
Yeah, I would definitely favor these kind of positions for Direwolves, because they always want to have volatile side lanes, just because Galio's going to have that priority and be able to roam, use the grand entrance and like find these little revenues to snowball in the early game, whereas like Azir just wants to plant in mid lane and just hope nothing happens until he gets his first item, gets more levels into his W, and is able to just deny Galio from getting priority anymore.
Yeah, at that point, right, you're basically saying, well, there will be a cost if you leave this lane. You will just lose, you know, a turret or a good few amount of minions. Biding their time is Mochi, and in says Shinky, I want to make matters happen. Oh, Voice! Oh, so close! It looked like for a second there with a flash panic, hook away to safety. It may have just been enough, but unfortunately it was not the case, and Katsuri is the one gifted the kill.
Yeah, Voice just falls down as collateral there. We see the engage go on to Gunkrab, but the stun did hit both of them, so Voice just can't do anything when you CC for that long, and he was sitting on pretty low health, which is an easy secure for the Direwolves bot lane.
That certainly is. A really good start then for the Direwolves to make sure that their key carries are online and that the Skarner can be an absolute titan. I mean, are there any concerns in this game for the Skarner really getting kited at? Because I think there's much to the point of what you mentioned. It's a case of these other bruisers throwing their body on the line to afford the space in which Nazir and Varus can operate.
Not so much he should worry about getting kited this game, because I think there's way too much lockdown coming out of Direwolves. The problem with Skarner is like, he doesn't want to go on by himself because he doesn't really have friends to go with him, but this time like he has everyone to back him up this game. He has champions who can come from multiple angles. I think if he does go in with the Burrow and trades that for an Azir ult, like he's really happy with that. And if he does, you know, manage to get the ult off because it can't be cancelled, like he's happy to like take someone out with him as he gets scooped.
Certainly is a very valiant 1-for-1 to say the least. Let's see what's happening top lane, because that may be the shortest trip that a Galio will take, but is it a worthwhile one? Because across the wall goes Reneko, and he's running out of options very fast. His HP is dwindling. It is going to fall on down. At what point does Mochi say somebody else getting on the action? He's got 3 to his name now. Cross-map, the worst possible answer is that Direwolves are winning on 2 separate occasions, and Mammoth are yet to find a kill.
Yeah, a bit of anti-synergy there coming out of Dials with the cask and the grand entrance, but yeah, they still find the kill, so they got the result they wanted. The 2v2 though is surprising. I think that Direwolves bot lane is doing a really, really good job in this 2v2. I say it's favorable to them in the fight, but I'm surprised that Mammoth is still like positioning aggressively when they've fallen so far behind already.
Well, this will be the first invitation for Gudo to try and really answer back straight in with the Dragon's Rage to say, Shinky, your time is up. Stayed around just a little bit too long, and I'm going to make sure that our bot lane can salvage something before this Kaiser runs away with things. 2-0 so far. The very fed Skarner jungle goes for a bit of invading. Why not? Has just picked up those 3 Void Grubs. So the response from Mammoth is we need at least something. First blood into, or our first kill rather, into our first dragon.
Yeah, this is a nice like pickup for them. They could have done this earlier. We'll have to see if Katsuri does get hit by the hook. He does have access to the ult.
He does have access to the ult, but he holds it for the meantime. Doesn't have any summoners to use, and he's just going to take a fair bit of damage. Actually answers back underneath the turret with a killer instinct to say, oh, he's just out of range! He's just out of range! Look at their health bars. I think just out of range for the voice kill, and then he watches as Gunkrab just gets away. Shinky rocket up and saying, there's an ignite, go away.
Yeah, and they get the 1-for-1 in the end. All smiles coming out of Katsuri there, so he's not too upset with that. Both AD carries pick up their first item, so they're sitting on pretty, comfy item spikes here, sitting on the same power. I'll have to see, you know, if Mammoth want to play practically around bot lane anymore, because it's very hard to, like, you know, snowball a lead when you're dealing with this guy in the mid lane. He constantly has priorities, constantly going to have first move to these side lanes. It's just always something you have to worry about in the back of your head.
It certainly is, because for the 10 assist advantage that Praetor has, it doesn't really equate to the same amount of gold that Guapi has for the 3 assists, right? So he's quite happy just to cue the wave and say, all right, guys, where can I rotate towards? Either with ultimate or without. And as I say that, he's already beelining straight to top lane. It's all going to be marked by vision. Scuttler acting as a very helping hand here for Mammoth, but Praetor's no doubt have to make sure that, well, if you are going away, I'm able to achieve a little bit more than just the CS, be it turret plates or what else.
Yeah, but we're going to have to call up Boris probably, because Guapi's decided to go for the heal cup as a first item in Galio, which I think is probably extremely strange, I would say the least. I think it's really important to get access to your Shurelias, because you need to have this, you know, the extra bit of movement, the extra bit of early game pressure on Galio. We've also seen the build where, you know, you go full AP and you play for that one-shot, like, bomber combo. They can have the double bomber with Gragas going on, but I have to see what he wants to aim for in this build here.
Well, we're going to say the famous words of let him cook. We'll see if it's a burnt-down kitchen or if it's an absolute 5-course feast. Because with the Dark Seal, as you say, is the orb. And look, he wants us to be support. Just going for a different support item rush. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what Mochi's up to, because he's the most fed in the game so far. He's able to make sure that wherever he goes, fights are to be found. And
he
won. May, in fact, now take place here. One of the advantage in towards the Lee Sin, instantly goes for the Impale, but then Gudo says, yeah, that's enough of that. Safeguards away, and off you go.
That interaction is so unfair, Skimmy. Like, for some reason, like, if you're on the other side of Skarmo when he gets, he just, you know, picks you up, throws you over his shoulder, and just pushes you back anyway. And there's no way to outplay that. As we just see the game coming in the bot lane. No flash on Gungrab yet.
Bit of a weird moment there, actually, as everything's being thrown towards Shinky to make sure that this rail cannot find that perfect engage. Does still find the stun, but far too close to the tower now. His voice on that Nautilus, and there is Praetor given that opportunity, right? As you say, if you get left, I will punish you, not only with CS, but with turret plates too, and we'll start to get closer and closer to equating that 3 assist difference.
Yeah, this is just what happens with the Galio rooms. If you're unable to find a successful kill, you just end up losing plates, and your individual lane will be really strong, but the plan is that you make your side lane so much stronger that they can't deal with that. Unfortunate, though, that I don't think Daiwos had really tracked the flash time on Gunkrab there. If they know he didn't have flash, we could have seen the flash committal out of Shinky with the ult, and probably a kill there.
Let's see if there's still a kill on the tables right now, as Gunkrab actually sneaks that one away, saying thank you very much for the leash, but bleeding turret plates in the spot lane. The spot lane has been pretty rough for them, despite them keeping pace with the same CS as the Katsuri show. As Mochi jumps in and says, I'm looking at you once again, Gudo. Let's see if we can get a kill on you this time, as there is the Impale. Suppressed and no chance to safeguard the safety this time, as he is down for 20 seconds. No objective to take on this side of the map, but the Void Grabs have just spawned.
Yes, that's the problem with Skarn, is when he gets on top of you, it's so hard to deal with. Even if Gudo did decide to kick him there, it's really easy to buffer the ult and just drag him with you towards the end. So it's just really nice pick from Daiwos, abusing the bot lane priority there and finding a kill.
So Mochi just going to cross the map and say, well, there's no dragon, I will go for that other objective. I want to utilize the strong advantage and the big lead that we have. If they were to get all 6, maybe not the best comp to try and utilize it with, but would certainly be helpful in denying that from Mammoth, because they would have found infinite value with that of an Azir as well as a Varus. With an easy avenue for them to leave lanes. Yeah, no issue for Guapi to assist. Gudo, though, is going to poke his head into the lane. Voice and Praetor just slightly behind. Not all 6 could actually be taken, only 4 in the end, as the Herald ended up spawning.
They're still happy with that. See if Gudo goes for the kick here.
He does go for the kick, switches him back into his team. There's the depth charge, go for the full CC combo with the Ignite ticking on his head. Dragon's Rage, make it happen. And, well, it certainly did.
Yeah, this is a really cheeky play that you don't see many teams do, but when you go for an objective, you would consider the side that you were playing on to be safe, and you feel comfortable pathing greedily back to your lane. But it's really nice to see Mammoth, you know, sit in that fog wall between the objective and the lane, and find Guapi like going back to his tower.
Maybe that is a small moment in which Mammoth could start to find some foothold in this game. It's taking about 15 minutes for them to truly answer back. Maybe that is the start of something special here, is top lane has certainly been very quiet, as to be expected, right? 0-2 is the Aatrox, 003 be it the Gragas, but they're just trading, they're just purchasing their items, they're just cruising on through, so nothing too exciting to check in with there, but this will be the first tower actually falling on down. Going in favor of Daiwos here, and makes sense for it to be in favor of Katsuri. I wonder if they will just try and drag him around. As the president say, you know, anywhere you are, a turret will fall.
Yeah, they'll pick up the dragon here. This is a consultation prize for like Voice being on the top side. He wasn't around bot to like, help his AD carry when the waves were crashing because he was making that play on mid. So like the trade happens on the other side of the map. They get the tower, they get the dragon. Have to see if Direwolves want to put their bot lane into mid, play for that total map control, or like go up the top and play for just the side lane control because they believe their side lanes aren't strong enough to deal with the Azir and Aatrox. But I think playing for the total map control right now since plays it down is just much better because you can use your mid priority to go either to the top or bot.
Yeah, you just have so much more access, right, if you control mid lane. Has been the story of many of the games that we've witnessed here tonight. I suppose checking in with how this game is all panning out. 0-1, be it Praetor, or 0-0-1 rather. I've sold him dirty there. 0-0-1 is Praetor on the Azir. We mentioned before, would he actually be able to keep pace with the amount of CS and plates he's been taking away? And you will see here that he is, by a fair margin, up 700 gold over the Galio, who has rushed at Morello's. He's definitely going to be looking to try and support wherever he can. Out goes the cask, and actually Gunkrab juking into it to make it even easier to hit. Just out of range of follow-up CC, but Katsuri's tagged him. He's got it with the killer instinct, but it's a trade 1-for-1. Right into the waiting arms there of Gudo. But look at that, it's a two-man Impale. The scoop to try and buy some time as that Impale expires. But in with the flash, body slam for Mayfun to say goodnight to Gudo. Voice limps away again. The boulder, the smite, just not enough. As Praetor body blocks at the end there.
Yeah, that's the interaction I'm talking about, where like Skana will find the Impale, and even if you do decide to swoop him out, he's going to take your team with him. So he's happy with that interaction going on. And we see Direwolves, play aggressively onto mid lane, find the pick on the Gunkrab. They decide to commit just a bit too deep to find Gunkrab after he flashes out, and they end up trading that 1-for-1, which is a pretty good outcome for Mammoth.
It is a pretty good Mammoth outcome, as Flash has to be burnt there by their top laner. It wasn't a part of that fight, despite Mammoth coming out ahead, you would say. But was very bravely saying, well, I'll push that wave without any vision, well, really any care in the world. So they're going to make sure that this gold lead doesn't balloon in favor of the Direwolves. Now just a slim 2k advantage, and still anybody's game, you'd say, at this one to see who can eke out this game one mid-game trajectory.
Yeah, as we do go into the replay, we get to see like Mayfun go for a really nice cast on the Gunkrab here. He tries to sidestep it at the end, but it's just a bit too close. Really nice flash reaction from him and like a good disengage from Voice, but just in the end, like Katsuri decides to go in, find the 1-for-1, and once again, like you just don't have the damage when your one carry dies, so they're not going to find any more kills here. Like if Praetor had access to like more items at this point, like this is the kind of fights that he would be taking over.
Yeah, he just flourishes in amongst the chaos like that, right? As everyone's walking into him. Between himself and the Sand Soldiers, their DPS output would be pretty much second to none. What's happening here? Agent Mayfun behind enemy lines saying, can you catch me, guys? I'm very, very scary on this Gragas. I do a lot of damage because I'm building full AP, but unfortunately, I'm unable to take anybody to the grave with me.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't get that kill to Praetor. I think it's really, really important to get gold to him right now, but like Gudo getting kills is also fine. I think this champion is very underrated at killing isolated carries. Lee Sin is a very good champ at just like taking out one important champion with like the flanks into like kick. It's really all on like your mechanics in the end, like how well you can do.
Well, certainly Gudo has the license to pilot the champion. As we mentioned at the start of this game, right, is his most played in competitive, so feels very much at home if we're talking about comfort picks for him, but certainly can't look past the fact that, yeah, Praetor on the Azir would like more gold. Would certainly like to have more than just relying upon the fact that he's got the CS advantage into a very roam support-heavy Galio. But to speak to that mid lane point, obviously, both bot lanes are going to be positioned here now, given that these crucial objectives, both are actually spawning in 60 seconds.
Yeah, to touch on the mid lane point you brought up earlier, the item difference is like, you can't really tell right now because it looks like they have the same, both 1.5 items each, but like, the fact that Galio has Morello's right now is like, he's just sitting on useless gold. He's not going to do anywhere near the same damage that Praetor will be doing, especially when he finds the Leandries, when he finds like the death cap. The DPS output from this solo champion will be completely unmatched, and like, the one saving grace is that he's not solo AP, so it doesn't really matter what he builds. It's just the TP flank coming onto Reneka, who has no flash.
Yeah, Reneka doesn't have the flash because he burned it prior. He jumps across the wall, finds himself another mid there. Hang on a minute, this is my side of the map, he thinks. And he's been collapsed on by the entirety of Direwolves. And, well, quite honestly, can you blame him? You'd think you'd be safe there too.
Yeah, but honestly, this isn't a bad outcome for Mammoth. Like, Praetor is getting free time with the turret. That's extra gold. He's going to get another wave crash. And I don't even think Direwolves will be able to take this in the turret on bot. If they react correctly, they can probably hold both. We'll have to see if they do want to go for a dive here, though. Guapi has flash.
Guppy diving from the wrong side of the tower, cops up the chain of corruption, says I'll go golden, soak up that one, no harm, no foul. Mochi coming in from the angle, waiting for the stun, suppress, and straight up delete onto Voice. Not a lucky life if you're a Nautilus player, very squishy, will fall down quite quickly. But making it a 4v5 with Desync's respawn time, this makes it very easy for Direwolves to say, well, what option, what objective do we actually want to go for?
Yeah, Direwolves are just using their TPs really well. They're finding the one pick onto the side, which was an okay trade, but then, you know, they snowball that with another TP onto the mid lane. They secure the turret, they're breaking open the map, and once they break open the map, they're able to find more flanks, you know, more engaged angles for this Rel, for the Skarner. It's really nice to see good team play coming out of Direwolves.
It was a pretty good team play there as they establish a little bit extra gold, but still sitting around that 2k margin is the difference between these, so you aren't really expecting anything too crazy. And maybe to your previous point, Telly, the fact that it's a 2k lead for Direwolves, maybe it is actually dead even given the difference in mid lane items now that Leandri's has been complete.
Yeah, I think the strength coming out of Predator right now is quite underrated. If they go for an engage that isn't like perfect, they mess up an engage a little bit, he will take over this fight. His damage is insane. But then on the other hand, Katsuri is also really, really strong. He's going to go for the Nashes next. Probably opt into the full AP build after that. You know, we see like the Death Cap or the Zhonya's, so he can play a bit more aggressive. I assume it'll be a Zhonya's coming up for just so he's able to play dive with the rest of his team and like match the rest of his, you know, match that comp style.
Yeah, it was the same for that replay we saw before, right? As soon as he died, the DPS went to 0, so he needs to make sure that he can play the kit to its fullest, but still survive at the end. We're talking because we're just watching two bruisers fighting, and you weren't expecting too much to happen there. In the end, Guppy says, all right, you caught me, I'll flash, whatever. But, yeah, two dragons have been taken here by the Direwolves, so be sitting quite pretty in terms of denying that away from Mammoth. Support's going to, no doubt, play goalkeeper here in the mid lane, protecting that one, waiting for the next objective to be looked at. But you're thinking, okay, Direwolves have certainly been the ones more so proactive this game.
Yeah.
But, you know, can Mochi still sustain that?
Yeah. Well, looking at the game state, you would say that like Direwolves is stronger right now, but the problem is both Mammoth's side laners are stronger, even though Aatrox is 0-3 right now. Like Renekko is going to be comfortable winning both 1v1s, just how his champion plays into the enemies, and like Predator is so strong already from doing such a good job in the laning phase and securing all the gold when Galio is roaming. He's also really strong in the 1v1, so they got to find priority on both side lanes, which means it's very hard to play, as we just hit engage onto Gunkrab.
Yeah, he's onto Gunkrab, right across the wall. Oh, there's just no escaping that. You can hit Flash, you can hit Cleanse. They are dead buttons, my friend. Unfortunately for you, you are dead and gone. Shinky jumps in, Magnus Storm expires, Empress Divide pushes them away, and Predator is out of that fight. Down to 50% HP, he wants none of it. Voice is forced to be the one that is the lamb to slaughter. The lonely little support with no goal to the name is going to be the one to fall on down.
Yeah, this is the problem with Skarner. No one really respects him. They don't understand his angles of the engage he has. Like, Gunkrab has access to both summons. They decides to hold them both. I understand after he gets engaged on, I believe, like, he's dead. There's no way getting out there. But you need to respect the Skarner E initially and play to survive.
Well, Mammoth trying to wrestle back some control of this river so they can actually look to contest or at least steal this Baron. Not to be the case. Direwolves did a good enough job there of zoning both Gudo and Renekko out, and now they're forced to try and run away, but that's them going in for a Mayfun combo. He's on one with this Gragas, to tell you what. He knows what he's doing. The body slam into two, the knockback afterwards, and the isolated picking apart here of Mammoth. One by one, they fall on down like flies. Gunkrab walks in. I'm not sure about that one, mate. You've hit double summoners, and do you survive? Mochi is looking at the tower and laughing. He might just die for the calls, and that he certainly does. The fight still continues though, as Voice now next on the chopping block, and the entirety of Mammoth have been aced, but in one-by-one fashion.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like, Mammoth, your carries are strong, but you can't deal with this much dive. You're all isolated. These aren't the fights you want to be looking for. It's really, really hard to deal with so much dive when you don't have both your carries in their position. You don't have your front line there to, you know, create some space for you. And these are the kind of scenarios where Direwolves comp of low damage but an insane amount of CC will always strive. Like, Katsuri had so much uptime there. As like we can see in the replay, they just don't have the threat. This Baron went down so fast thanks to the Kai'Sa damage, and then Mayfun hits a really, really nice bomber, which secures them all these kills.
It really does. You see it once again. Beautiful splitting apart of the team, and from that point on, which just becomes panic, right? You can see Predator frantically summoning his turret, thinking that'll be enough of deterrence. It's just simply not, because they're all so disjointed. And I tell you what, this may just be the major turning point in this game, because the 2k lead now balloons into 7k. That in part to the Baron being picked up out of the replay into the action, with Katsuri getting himself his 6th kill of the game. And looking at Predator, that must just be waiting for cooldowns for him to shuffle across the wall. It's just not going to happen. Double for Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa locked inside the Baron pit. fighting his way out of trouble. They're going to find a third one, now looking towards Voice, and Direwolves are just showing up big time.
Yeah, this is what we talked about. Mammoth don't like losing quietly. They're always going to be proactive, even if they do find themselves in a position where they cannot scale. That's not what they like as a team. They like to fight. They like to always try and abuse, you know, these missteps coming out of the enemy team. But unfortunately, it's just way too hard to get on top of Katsuri here. He's playing insanely well. He's so fed on the Kaiser, and he's got access to all the peel coming out of Guapi, all the peel coming out of the rest of his team. He's sitting pretty.
His entire team, all these tanks, only a single death to their name. They've been soaking up the world and more and dying for the cause, and certainly have been allowing Katsuri to be the star of the show. But I say that, you look at Mochi from the very onset here, shown that Skarner is a pick that we'll be seeing more and more. Yet to get it in top lane, we hold with bated breath, but is linking up beautifully with Guapi, who's gone for this quirky support mid lane build. But look, to be frank, he's making it work.
Yeah, like, it's just nice to see the collapse coming out of Katsuri. Like, he's using his mid priority and collapsing on the side. This is one of the things you don't really see is when teams get called out, there's a reason they're overextending. It's because my team can rotate first. Like, I'm in a position where, like, I can play a bit on the edge because I know my backup will come first. And that's what we see here. We see the backup in Katsuri coming in is cleaning up this fight extremely easily.
Yeah, it's just that trust, almost like a tag team wrestling, right? We're low enough, we've gone out the ring, you come in, take over the position, and none of those kills can be completed. The soaking has been done beautifully. 26 minutes in then, and another dragon has been taken. Direwolves now sitting on dragon point, but level 16 starting to be found across the board here for them at the same time. Pretty big divide then in terms of matching that into Mammoth, who are sorely behind in that regard. 10k lead now is the deficit, and they're even struggling to leave their base.
Yeah, I think also you brought it up earlier, like Mochi's just having this very quiet, solid performance. Like, I think the Skarner quietly scaling throughout the week. So we saw in the first week, you know, it was alright, it wasn't the best, but now we're seeing like these back-to-back like monster performances coming out of Skarners. This champ is a problem, and I think it's one that teams need to pay more attention to.
Certainly do. If it gets let through the draft, it certainly seems to be a champion that can punish, unless the draft conditions are matched, to make sure that it does not have a fun time. 2 inhibitors lost inside the base of Mammoth right now, a third now being assaulted as the depth charge knocks up 3 members, and Mammoth look to try and put up a bit of a valiant effort to defend their base for whatever remains. Mochi jumps in, he's surrounded by 4 members, gets kicked apart and dies before there's any protection or peel to be found. But that means that Katsuri can jump into the backline, find 2, assist with a 3rd, make it 4, and then look for the clean sweep ace. That's what they do, Tally. They do it inside the base, triple inhibitors, and the game signed and sealed.
Yeah, that just goes to show how tanky the Direwolves team is there. Predator just had almost 100% uptime on his soldiers there. He had max Conqueror stacks doing as much damage as he can. But I don't see the health bars moving at all. All I see is Katsuri diving in and just taking out Guncrab in an isolated fight and just pretty much demolishing this game solo. Really nicely from Direwolves, really good performance from them. How will Mammoth bounce back? How will they answer this playstyle coming out of Direwolves?
That is the question that really springs to mind for me, right? 28 minutes, 27 kills. They were on pace. They were being aggressive. Mammoth were entertaining it, but unfortunately, they were unable to dig themselves out of quicksand. They found a pretty dire situation, to be frank, and they're going to have to try and bounce back in this one because